So in the past, we've talked about the navies of the Galactic Republic, the Galactic Empire, and the Rebel Alliance, so I figured today we could take a very special look at the Navy of the Confederacy of Independent Systems. I'm Colin, and this is Sci-Fi Deep Dive. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, to head down below and hit that subscribe button. So during the Clone Wars, the Separatists built a massive fleet of warships in their attempt to best the Republic in the conflict. And while they may have not been as iconic as the Republic's fleet of Venator-class Star Destroyers, they still had their own unique ships within their ranks that are definitely worth talking about. So let's just jump in with one of the most common mainstay warships of the CIS Navy, and that is the Munificent-Class Star Frigate. The Munificent-Class Frigates were originally communication ships for the banking clan, but when war broke out, they filled a very different role. They were quickly modified to function as mainstay warships, and formed the core of most Separatist fleets. These ships would end up filling roles from their originally intended communication purposes all the way through to the flagships of fleets, being commanded by such legendary officers as General Grievous. And like the Republic's Venator, the Munificent would find its way into nearly every major engagement of the war, from the Battle of Christophsis to the Battle of Coruscant. But it didn't fight alone. There were other ships that would often serve alongside the Munificent-Class Frigates. Another ship that was fairly common was the Providence-Class, which came in two forms: the cruiser variant, which was roughly comparable in size to a Republic Venator, and the Dreadnought, which was significantly larger than even an Imperial-class Star Destroyer. Well, the Dreadnought variant was relatively rare, only being seen during a few engagements during the first half of the war. The cruiser variant would become a very important asset to the Separatist Navy, being present in many battles, including the Battle of Coruscant near the end of the war. One of the most well-known ships within this class is the Invisible Hand, which served as Grievous's flagship during that battle. The Providence-class cruisers were originally built by the Quarren to fill military defense roles, so when war broke out, they were the perfect template for a Separatist cruiser. As the war progressed, the Providence-class became more and more common and was present in more and more Separatist fleets. Another ship the Quarrens contributed to the war effort was the Recusant-Class Destroyer. The Recusant-Class Destroyer was roughly on par with the Munificent in size and capability, but far cheaper to manufacture and designed from the ground up to be a warship. On top of that, an interesting side note about the Recusant is it was actually designed to be mostly automated, so the vessel has a relatively skeletal appearance with minimal interior space. This allowed it to function more efficiently in intense combat situations. The Recusant, however, never really became nearly as common as any of these other vessels, being one of the more rare ships within the Separatist fleets. But there is another warship that's definitely worth talking about because it played a significant role not just during the conflict, but actually before it, and that is the Lucrehulk-Class vessels. All of the Lucrehulk-Class vessels utilized by the CIS came from a single source, the Trade Federation, which had a massive fleet of these vessels at the outbreak of the war, and many of these vessels ended up serving the Separatists during the conflict. All of the Lucrehulk-class vessels were modified cargo ships, designed originally to carry vast amounts of cargo in between worlds for the Trade Federation. However, around the time of the Battle of Naboo, many of them were converted to warships, supposedly to fend off pirates. With the outbreak of the Clone Wars, many of these vessels were pressed into combat service for the CIS. Now, like a lot of other vessels that we've mentioned, there are actually two variants of the Lucrehulk, the Battleship variant and the Droid Control Ship variant, which both filled relatively different roles. The Battleship variant was really designed for straight-up combat, being able to effectively engage enemy ships in ship-to-ship battles. For this, they were given extra armor and additional armament compared to the Droid Control Ship variant, which served more as a command ship, ultimately holding back and trying to avoid conflict if possible. Both variants of these vessels, however, were very effective transports and were often utilized to transport Separatist forces to and from battlefields. However, beyond these vessels, there was one more class of ship that definitely has to be mentioned, the Subjugator-Class Dreadnought. The Subjugator-Class Dreadnoughts were the Separatists' Bismarcks. They were massive battleships that could decimate entire Republic fleets. However, due to their size and complexity, only a few were built during the course of the war, and they were always key targets for the Republic Navy, most being destroyed while in dry dock, with only one really being able to rampage around the galaxy, and that was the Malevolence. So as you can tell, the Separatists had a wide variety of vessels at their disposal, and we see a lot of these in the Clone Wars. But there is one ship that we see way more than all the others, the Munificent-Class Frigate. And if you want to learn more about some of the specific details about the Munificent-Class, I'll leave a link up here to my video on that. And I want you to let me know down in the comments which of these ships is your favorite. Which one do you think is the most effective in combat? And you can't pick the Subjugator-Class. Any of the other ones. And if you have anything you'd like to see me cover in Star Wars, leave it down below in the comments. And last but not least, if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.